So I'm going to give you the updates of what we did this year and some of the standards changes as well that we're rolling out, just to make things a little bit simpler. But as far as, I'm not in presenter mode. As far as for this year, we were just a shy under 400 burns for over 16,000 acres. It's a little bit more in the past. Like we had past a couple years, we had that 15,000 acre mark we just seem to be stuck at. This year we actually got over that hump and got into the 16,000 range. So if you're looking at here over the years since we started keeping record of what we're putting on the ground in the state there, you can kind of see the upward trend that we have going, and then we kind of flattened out there after 2021, I believe. We had that big year of 22,000 acres, and we were just right at 15,000 for a while, but we're starting to go back up. So it seems like we're still in a good way here. The trend is upward moving, where we're putting more fire on the ground where it needs to be, and hopefully as we start moving with more private lands, we're going to get a little more fire on the ground in the state. As far as who is burning, this is just showing you the organizations that are actually in charge of the burn. This isn't the land. This isn't the land who owns the land. It's not ownership. This is actually who we're burning. Kind of some of the highlights of this. Obviously, like all the years, the Game Commission's driving our numbers, so they're going to be putting up the biggest number as far as acres of what the burns that they're putting down on the ground there. Letterkenny had quite a few this year. They were almost at 1,400, and we actually got some of the private contract. If you look down there, we have the 22 burns for 170 acres. That's including some of the certified burn managers. So we actually had 7 burns for 33 acres through the certified burn manager program. So that's the first time we actually got some CPBM burns actually put out there on the landscape. So that's a real positive, and hopefully those numbers just keep going up as we get more people certified, and we can get some more burns out there on the landscape. So that's kind of the numbers, what we're looking at as far as who's been burning this past year. As far as the ownership, obviously the state's going to be one of the biggest numbers that we have up there for the burns that are getting put out there. And private, that's one of the highest private numbers that we've had in the past couple of years, at 659 acres. So again, the private lands, we're starting to get a little bit more fire out there in the private lands, because that's most of the state is privately owned. So that's actually a good sign as well on how we're looking at as far as burning on private lands. The next slide here, this is something that Pat McElhaney from TNC and the Game Commission had put together. How many people were here? It might have been 10 years ago was the first time we did this, where we had maps up in the back of the room that showed where all the burns were taking place throughout the state. How many people are here? Raise your hands. Just kind of see how many people are new and how many people have been around for a long time. Okay, we did that years ago, and Pat kind of emailed me a couple months back and was trying to redo this and see, just to give you guys a snapshot of the fires and what's being put on the ground out across the whole landscape of Pennsylvania. And kind of when you're looking at this, it might be a little bit deceiving. What I was counting as a burn, if I get a burn plan for all of one game lands, that's just going to show up as one dot on here. It's not going to be each little burn that was across that game lands. I take a lat and lon of each burn plan that I get, and that's when I complete a burn within that plan, that's the information that I actually send. So this is just showing you all the information here of where burns are at. You kind of see across the state, and you can see a lot of areas up here, and then down the southeast, you're seeing a lot of areas that aren't state forest land, national forest land, or parks or Game Commission land. So there is burns that are happening, in different parts of the state that are not on public land. So that's kind of cool. It just gives you a snapshot. I will be putting this up during the breaks. We'll just have a PDF version of this, and during the breaks we'll have this up so people can come kind of look at it up on the big screen, and just kind of neat to see where the burns have been taking place, in the last 15 years across the state.
It's also on the floor down there.
Oh, it is? Okay. There's also a hard copy of it on the floor down there by the other screen if you want to look at the other copy of it. We'll try to put this up at the breaks so people can look at that as well. It's kind of cool little snapshot of what's been going on in the state in the last 15 years. As far as the standards changes, this year we had quite a few changes. We had a couple things were brought up where some places in the standards it was a bit confusing. Some things didn't make sense. We had redundancy in there. So we tried to change some of the languages in there and just simplify things and add some changes where they needed to be, and kind of line things up with what some of the federal guidelines are. So the first one under element 3 is the prescribed fire justification. We removed the general goals and alternatives considered. The general goals, that's kind of, you're talking about them in your goals and objectives anyway, a little bit below. So it's something that really didn't need to be in there, so we just kind of cleaned that up a little bit. The next thing, the fuel and weather prescription, we added mixing height as a required element that you need in there. Everything else is the same. We just added that mixing height. The reason being with that is we just want to make sure people are burning on good air quality days and where the air is going to actually go up and get out, and it's not going to sit there and smoke everybody out around you. So we just wanted to put that in there so people are aware of that, and that's something that they're paying attention in the back of their mind, that they're paying a little bit more attention to what the mixing height is and what your smoke's going to do. Element 5, the fire behavior prescription. This was a little bit confusing how we had it worded in there. So we just kind of changed. We had something about basing everything outside of the unit on extreme conditions and kind of confused a lot of people. So we just changed it. And if you notice, everything's in red in the changes. So when you go on the website and you pull the prescribed fire standards, anything that's changed will be in red. So it's real easy. Once a year, just go through it, look down there. Everything's going to pop out, any changes that are between last year and this year. And we always roll them out. Any changes we have always get rolled out at this meeting. So we want to do it at the same time every year at the meeting so we can bring them up to you so everyone that's here is aware of them. And other people who aren't able to make it to the meeting, they know, hey, it's end of January, early February. I should get on and look at the changes, look at the standards and make sure they're changed. They're not up right now. Jeremy's going to have them on by the end of the week here. So, come Friday or Monday, just pull up the website and look at the prescribed fire standards, and it'll show you all the changes that are actually there. They're in red. So everything I'm talking about is in there. They're easy to find because they're in red, so you can pick them out easy. One of the biggest changes is in the qualifications and the burn periods. We changed this because the NWCG, the national guidelines that are doing it for everything, they switched a lot of their things around. So we switched our things around just to bring them in line with what the NWCG quals are, because it kind of made sense because we really follow them. So we changed things around. So this is some of the biggest changes with this. You can see under Burn Boss 2, now it's required is the RX 410 to smoke management. In the past, that was required for Burn Boss 1, and they switched that down there, so we kind of did that just to bring us in line. So now for people who are initiating task books after today, they're going to need to have the RX 410 class. Burn bosses that are out there, people that have your task books open already, you're good with where you are because you're grandfathered from when you opened your task book up. But after today, anybody opening a new Burn Boss 2 task book's going to need to have that RX 410 before they can be officially qualified. The 310, that's a recommended class. It's not required. It's just something good to help with your knowledge. Moving down to the Burn Boss 3, we put the RX 300 to prescribed fire Burn Boss as a recommended class. Just something, it'll help you out. It's teach you a lot of good information in the class if you can get it, but it's not required. And then the firing boss, the S219, the firing operations, is a recommended class. This, I have no idea why it's recommended, but it makes no sense at all. But the federal government doesn't have that required anymore. It's just a recommended class. So I would definitely want to have it if I'm a firing boss. I'd want to go through that course, but it's not going to be required. Other thing that was brought up was with the operational periods. It was brought up that it was kind of hard for a lot of people to move through the system. Not that we're fast tracking anybody, but we switched the operational periods from 5 to 3. So that's over there, all the way on the right-hand side there. You can see that. So you need 3 as a fully qualified and 3 as a trainee before you can be signed off. Just keep in mind these are minimum number of operational periods. Some people get it when they're on burns. Some people pick things up really quick. They just get it, and they could have that minimum number of burns, and they could be ready to be signed off. There's other people who don't quite get it as fast that they're going to need more burns. So just because there's a number 3 there for minimum number doesn't mean I get 3 burns and then, hey, here, I'm ready to go to the next level. That's between you and whoever's your person that's working with you, the fully qualified person that's going to be evaluating you. That's their decision. It's not a guaranteed thing that you hit those minimum number of burns and you can move on. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're going up through that. We're not trying to fast track anybody. It's just some people are quick and they just they gain things really, really fast and can move up through the system pretty well. Some of the other changes, the ICS organization chart, that's element number 8, I believe. That's no longer required. That was just becoming a copy and paste thing. So when you're submitting burn plans, you're not required to put the ICS chart in there anymore. If it's there, that's fine, but you're not required to put that in there. DEP air quality contact changes. The north, central, and southeast, there's a new person in there for the air quality contact. Again, it's in red, so you can pick it out pretty quick. And I also have the on-base electronic forms. That's something that we had last year that DEP wanted me to put in, and it has happened, but they're not always getting burn plans through that system. So I'm just putting this up here to remind everybody, make sure you're going through that on-base system. That's when you're sending the burn plan in 25 days prior, and they'd like the whole burn plan, not just the first couple pages anymore. And then prior, how do I have that worded there? At least 24 hours prior to the burn. So it doesn't have to be right before the burn, but a minimum of 24 hours. If you're going to be burning in 2 days, you can just go in that on-base system again and send them that so they're aware that there's going to be a burn coming up. And the instructions are in the standards there. We kind of walk you through. There's a step-by-step within there. Just make sure you're doing that to DEP so it makes things easier. If they get a complaint, they know who they need to talk to and they have the information that they need. Allegheny County notification, that's something new. We've never burned. I didn't realize that. We've never burned in Allegheny County until last year. And when someone went to burn, the county kind of went a little crazy over it because they wanted you to submit a burn permit before you burn. That's everything around Pittsburgh. That's Allegheny County. So they have a lot more hardcore air quality people over there. So you just have to go, the information's in there, the number, the email to send it to. You just have to get a burn permit from Allegheny County for those of you that are ever going to burn in Allegheny County. Again, that's in the standards. And last thing, some of the CPBM language. I just put in there about emailing me the packet for the certified burn managers. Once you actually go through the program and you get your evaluator signs off, I just have my information in there to email the whole packet information to me so I can submit it up to the certification board. So with that, we did drop one of our elements, so now we only have 23 required elements. If you have burn plans that are submitted, don't worry about it because we just took some of the things out, so we're not asking you for anything more than you've put in the burn plans that you've sent in the past. But just please go on the website next week and just look at the standard changes so you can see what they are and know what we have going through there. Something I wanted to mention at the beginning, but I forgot because I didn't have a note written about it, is I'm going to go to a sad note here. But about a month ago, I want to say, I'm not 100% sure, somebody sent us an email to let us know that Tim Smale had passed away. And Tim Smale, he worked for NRCS for years, and he was around when the council was formed. And he was a big part. He was the Quality Deer Management Association, which is now the National Deer Association. He was the Pennsylvania rep for that, and he was very active, and he was a big push of quality deer management back in the early days. But he was very involved in the council. He served on our board. He was the treasurer or secretary. I don't know, someone that's Shannon or someone that's been around for a while. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim. I know he was our treasurer or secretary, but he's been involved. The treasurer, okay, yeah, we think he was the treasurer, but he was involved heavily early on. So if we could just have a moment of silence for Tim. He had a lot to do with habitat management in Pennsylvania and also with the Fire Council. All right, thank you. But I just wanted to give him a shout out for that. And then finally, Josh had mentioned a little bit the election for the board of directors. Same as every year, we have 3 that come up every year. All the information's in there, the bios are in there. Please make it clear when you're voting for 3. You can vote for 3. If you don't want to vote for 3, you don't have to, but don't vote for 4 because then we have to throw your whole ballot out. But please choose 3, and when you're done, outside on the table where everybody got your name tags, we're going to have a box there. Please throw the ballots in at this break or at the end of the day. After this concludes tonight, we're going to be getting together the election committee, we're going to go count the ballots. So make sure you get them in before the end of the day. The ballot box will be out there. And I know the bios are in there, but I just kind of wanted point them out to you so everybody here can put a name with the face. So the first one on it is Kip Adams. If Kip can stand up here so everyone can see who Kip Adams is from National Deer Association. And he's a current board member and our current vice chair. The next one is Steve Bernardi, right here in the front as well. He's a private person now, former Game Commission guy. He's now private, but Steve's on the election as well. The next one, Brent McNeil from the Game Commission. I know he's here. Oh, he's standing in the corner there. Raise your hand higher, Brent. There's Brent. Now I'm going to confuse everybody. It's not a misprint. I didn't know what I was doing when I put the ballots together. We have two Dan Smiths. So the first one I'm going to call Daniel Smith because that's what he put in his bio. So Dan's right here in the back. He is a current board member for us and serves on our training as our running our training committee. And we're going to refer to him as Daniel Smith for the Bureau of Forestry People, District 7 Dan Smith, because he works in Forest District 7. And then our other Dan Smith that we have, he's in the back of the room in the corner there. Raise your hand again because people are just turning. That's the other Dan Smith. That's the District 15 Dan Smith. He's from up in Potter County for a DCNR. So we wanted to confuse everybody as most as possible, but those are the two Dan Smiths that we had running. And one of them actually even commented, he's like, "Are you sure you want me to run? Because I'm going to confuse things." But we like to have as many people as we can get on the ballots. So just please make sure you fill them out and put them in the back there after the meeting or at one of the breaks here. And we'll let everybody know tomorrow morning as far as what the results are. Thank you.